I'm Ann Simmons for the Los Angeles Times. He terrorized Southern California in the mid-1980s, breaking into people's homes, murdering some, sexually assaulting others. Richard Ramirez, dubbed the Night Stalker, died today at Marin General Hospital. He had been on death row at San Quentin State Prison since being convicted in 1989 of 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults and 14 burglaries. Ramirez was 53. Prison officials said he died of natural causes. The Times' Paul Feldman covered the preliminary hearing in the Ramirez case, and he joins me today to talk about the events that gripped California almost 30 years ago. Welcome, Paul. So, Paul, tell us first of all, who was Richard Ramirez?
Well, at the time of first court hearings, almost every news story described him as the 26-year-old drifter from El Paso. He grew up in Texas, tall, lanky guy, mid-20s when the crime spree happened. He moved to Los Angeles about maybe 3 or 4 years before the crimes happened, and during the period in 1985 of the crime spree, he instilled a level of fear in people in California that probably hadn't been seen since the Manson murders in the late 1960s.
13 murders. How was he able to carry out these heinous crimes? What was his modus operandi?
Basically, he just showed up at different houses or just cased different neighborhoods and went into houses often that in the middle of the night, and often houses where doors were left unlocked or windows were left open, and killed some people, assaulted others, and at times left marks, satanic marks, in the homes that he had invaded.
So there was some talk about devil worship then, was that it?
Well, he talked a bunch about that in different forums. I think at his first hearing after his arrest, one of the very first hearings, as he was led off, he yelled out, "Hail Satan." I think his jail cell had pentagrams and other satanic type symbols in it, and yeah, that was part of his whole shtick.
You mentioned the fear in the city. What was the atmosphere like here? Were people paralyzed? Did they adopt a kind of bunker mentality? What was it like?
Well, people, as I recall, and I being one of them at the time, having recently moved to California, had this issue in the front of my mind each night. I mean, you know, it was just the sheer randomness of these acts. He killed people young, he killed people old, he killed women, he killed men, and it was just all over the city. Just the complete randomness of the acts and the luridness, it just led to a level of fear that, as I said, probably wasn't around for a 15-year period before that.
I can imagine that the city and the county kind of breathed a collective sigh of relief. How was he eventually captured?
Well, he apparently was trying to either carjack a car or somehow get a hold of a car in East LA, and he was accosted, or he was basically stopped by a bunch of neighborhood residents with the police then in tow. He was arrested in 1985. The preliminary hearing, which took several weeks, occurred in early 1986. He was finally found guilty of the crimes in 1989, I believe, and has been sitting on death row since then up at San Quentin. The case was actually not held in the main courthouses. It was held over at the traffic courthouse down a few blocks from here to just sort of isolate it from the rest of the court system. Well, I guess it was a pre-OJ type OJ case.
Thank you, Paul. For more on this story about the Night Stalker, please visit latimes.com.